Coming up on today's edition of Locked On Leafs, the big boys came out to play as the Toronto Maple Leafs got some sweet revenge on the Edmonton Oilers. I'll break down that game and give you some news from practice as well. This is the Locked On Leafs podcast. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, welcome to the Locked On Leafs podcast, your daily fix for all things Leafs. I'm your host, David Morassutti from Sports, and I will be flying solo for today's show. As always, Locked On Leafs is a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast, so be sure to subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts from. And now you can catch us up on YouTube every day, Locked On Leafs. Remember, it is your team every day. We cover them 5 days a week, 5 shows a week. We bring you all that sweet Leafs content. So make sure you go and tell all your friends to come and join us on this for the party as we get down the stretch here. These games are going to be very, very important for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I know that right now, pretty much locked into where they're going to be finishing in the standings, whether second or third in the Atlantic, looking like second at this rate with the way that they've been playing. But let's talk about this game. Let's talk about Saturday's 7-4 victory over the Edmonton Oilers. And this game certainly had its ups and downs and momentum swings because I'm sure some of the people who were watching that game might have been thinking, we might be preparing for a good, bad, and the ugly segment from me from the Locked On Leafs show when the Oilers went up 3-1 in this game. But the big boys, and I mean the big boys, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, John Tavares, William Nylander, they came out to play in that second period, leading the Leafs to a 4-goal second period. They scored 3 goals in 3 minutes to completely turn the game around. This is the type of play that you would expect to see from a team like the Leafs to come up in these big moments that they didn't do the last time they played the Edmonton Oilers. This is what we expect from the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it was a big game for the Leafs. And of course, it was Mitch Marner that got it all started. I really don't know how Mitch Marner was given the gift that he was given from Ryan McLeod, who decided to pass the puck right to him in his own zone, right in front of the net. And Marner, realizing he had a little bit of time, making the defense look a little silly with a nice, fake move, and then almost didn't go in after it went off the post, but it did go in. It started the barrage of goals. The Leafs would score, as I said, 3 in 3 minutes, 4 in the period. Eventually, he would score another 2 in the third period to take the 7-4 victory. And I know the last time we played this game that I want to play was when Mitch Marner scored that ridiculous overtime winner, where I don't know how he managed to pull that overtime winner off. But this game here, when you see how Mitch Marner scores that goal, it's like bringing back my favorite game of look at that Leafs fan reaction. There were some great ones here. I'm going to see if I could. Yeah, there we go. Those of you that are watching on YouTube, I'm posting the photo. Those that are not listening on audio, I will go and try to find. James Myrtle tweeted out a picture of it, just saying, looking at the reactions from fans. And the best part about this picture, I'm going to start it off by saying it's not the Leafs fans, it's the couple of Oilers fans. There's 2 right in the smack in the middle of the picture. There's 2 Oilers fans here. One in the lady in the orange sweater who's like putting her hand over her head, like, oh, like realizing exactly what happened there. And then you got a bunch of guys just like there's if you look at the very left of the photo, like first guy, 3 rows up, mouth wide open, like, oh my god, no idea how that went in. You've got buddy in the front row here, looks like a beer in his hand, smacking the glass. He's having a time. Then you got obviously the one that stands out the most, guy in the white crew neck sweater, holding with both hands over his head, like, oh my god, like how did that go in? Clearly somebody right beside him having that same reaction. Picture perfect moment. Those are the best ones to capture on picture. So Thank you, James Myrtle, for tweeting that out. Um, it just a lovely, lovely goal. But it was the big boys that came big for this Leafs team, and they weren't going to win against the Edmonton Oilers unless their best players were going to be their best players in this game. This is what we mean when we watched that game against the Oilers where McDavid just went off. The disappointing part about that game wasn't that McDavid went off, is that the top players didn't show up. They were non-existent in that game. So it was good to see that they did come out in this one and put on a fantastic show. Like, Austin Matthews having a great night himself. John Tavares, I would call it a quiet 2-goal performance from himself. Just some beautiful, beautiful goals. One on the power play, and then one beautiful setup from Austin Matthews. If you missed that one, just go back and take a couple minutes to really appreciate. Because I totally thought Austin Matthews was shooting that puck, and the way he passed it, because Tavares is a left shot, I thought Tavares wouldn't have been able to corral it, but he did, and what a goal he scored. So we will go over to more individual performances from that game on the other side here. I'm going to give my 3 stars of the game. But before we do that, let me talk to you about one of today's show sponsors, and that is Athletic Greens. It is a product that I use every day to help myself start my day off right. I'm somebody who likes the simplicity of you take one scoop of something every day, and that's exactly what AG1 does. I want to find ways to improve my gut health, get more energy, make sure my day, because if you don't start your day off right, the rest of your day, you're just trying to get your day started, right? And you don't want to already start behind the 8 ball. You don't want to have to always make a comeback like the Leafs did in this game against the Oilers. So with one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, whole food source superfoods, minerals, nutrients, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, immune system, energy recovery, focus, and aging, all of those things. I'm somebody who is very much a simple person. I like things done specifically. I take AG1 every morning, one scoop before I eat anything. It's perfect. You don't have sometimes, it's easy to forget to take your vitamins, or you have to take vitamins at different parts of the day. Take it before food, take it with food, take it with a glass of water. None of that with the AG1. Throw that and they give you, and if you get the AG1 subscription box, they give you the bottle that goes with it, the tin, everything. It is a perfect solution. It's something that I love because it costs me less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting all the different supplements yourself. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, gluten free. Contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. It supports better sleep quality and recovery, supports mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing with the best things. Athletic Greens uses the best of the best products based on the latest science with constant product iterations and third-party testing. And right now, it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1 year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. David Morassutti here. Mike DeStefano is still away on vacation. And remember, Locked On Leafs podcast is brought to you 5 days a week because it is your team every day. We make sure you keep on top of everything Leafs all the time. And boy, that game, this was a very tough game to try to pick 3 stars from. Sometimes it's a little tough to pick 3 stars. This one especially was very, very difficult. Obviously, it would be easy for me to just name the guys who put up all the points in this game. I am going to do that, but first, for my 3rd star, I'm going to give it to Noel Achari. this might have been again the quietest 2 goal performance you're going to see from a player. But I, I mean, talking to a lot of people I know, Noah Chari has been one of their favorite acquisitions from the Leafs just because the Leafs did not have a Noah Chari on this roster. He scores 2 goals in this game. He had seven shots on goal. Only one player on the Toronto Maple Leafs had more shots on goal than Noah Chari, and that was Austin Matthews, who had 8. Noah Chari had 7 shots on goal, 5 hits, a block. He was crucial in those final minutes of the period where the Oilers thought maybe they could try to make a last minute rally. But nope, Noah Chari was not having it. I thought he was great in this game. And I think a lot of the Leafs players have really appreciated what Noah Chari has brought to this team. And obviously, what a great nickname for him to have, Cookie. Like, what a great name for him. Sheldon Keefe obviously brought up how he was unbelievable in all regards of the game. He told the reporters after. Um, and Austin Matthews had great praise for him as well. He said he's a bulldog out there. He hits hard too. So you know what? Once in a while, we got to give our love to Noah Chari. I mean, we definitely have called his name a few times on this podcast, but I thought he was definitely deserving. I mean, even Mitch Marner called the guy a beast after the game. Like, this is the type of player I'm looking forward to watching in the playoffs because everyone talks about the big bad Lightning, all those tough customers that they on the Lightning. Noel Chari is going to fit in quite well in those matchups. I think he's gonna really bring it. So I've really liked what he has brought to that fourth line and will continue to bring to that fourth line. So Noel Chari, I'm going to give him my 3rd star of the game. 2nd star for me, I was debating here for a little bit, but then I'm like, nah, you have to give it to Austin Matthews. He was on fuego in this game. He had 8 shots on goal. He should have had more than 1 goal in this game. He did have some chances that he did miss. He played 1 minute and 26 seconds in this game, obviously with the Leafs looking to make that comeback. And with the Leafs playing with 11 forwards, you saw Sheldon Keefe throw Tavares on a line with Marner and Matthews. I thought that was quite clever, and Nylander was thrown in there too. I like the ability to change things up, and the fact that they didn't just have Matthews, Martin, Tavares out there the rest of the game like we've seen Sheldon Keefe do. He mixed it in, and that throws off the matchups, especially when you have the ability to have last change being the home team. I thought that was a very crucial thing for that Leafs win to have those guys out there together, and obviously they were the spark, they were the engine of that comeback. Austin Matthews making a great play to set Tavares to the goal, scoring a goal himself. So yeah, definitely deserving of my 2nd star. And hopefully this is just Austin Matthews really starting to hone in on his game and trying to get himself ready to take his game to that next level for the playoffs. 1st star for me, it was Mitch Marner. You notice now, we talk in this game especially, it was Matthews versus McDavid. How do these two players kind of offset each other? I will say, on top of Matthews, I forgot to mention this in his part. The plays he made against McDavid in this game were crucial because when to expect a defenseman go 1-on-1 against McDavid and win those battles most of the time, that's a tough task. Jake McCabe did his best. Obviously, the goal, he probably would have liked to not allow McDavid to score that goal, but all things considered, I think if you're only allowing Connor McDavid to score 1 goal, I think you're going to take that. Obviously, he had 3 points. He was still impactful in this game. But you saw when Austin Matthews supported the defenseman, when he was on McDavid, not giving him much time and space, especially in the offensive zone, that's what made the difference in this game. So I just wanted to add that part to Austin Matthews, why I thought he was a little more deserving of that 2nd star. But Mitch Marner takes 1st star because when Mitch Marner has a game like this, he's unstoppable. His play sometimes doesn't nearly get the recognition it deserves because he's not Austin Matthews. I know a lot of people give Mitch Marner his due, no doubt about that. But I look at this game, and this reminded me a lot like the Buffalo game. where Marner can take over and there's not much you can do to stop him. There is not much you can do to stop him. So a very big effort from Mitch Marner this game. He had a goal, 3 assists, 5 shots on goal. He had 2 hits, and he led all these players with 4 takeaways. That's when Marner's at his best. When he is able to shorten the ice, when he's able to get those takeaways to turn defense into offense, and that's what he did in this game. I thought he was incredible in this one. So Mitch Marner definitely deserving my first star. And I'm going to give an honorary mention to Michael Bunting, who, man, oh man, did he really get on the Oilers' nerves in this game. He did have 6 penalty minutes, including a double minor with the dust up with Evander Kane, which was it's funny because that you don't see Michael Bunting. We see him kind of jar with opponents and things like that. But the fact that that wasn't like I thought it was going to be a fight, it didn't end up being a fight. But he knows exactly what he's doing. Ilya Samsonov said on Sunday, like Brad Marchand, yeah, Michael Bunting has that style because I think he realizes that's the type of style he's going to need to be effective. Now, we have questioned and whether or not Michael Bunting gets a little carried away with it sometimes. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he tries to draw those calls from the refs. But against the Oilers on in that game, that's how where he can be at his most effective. If he's not going to be putting up points, if he's not going to be scoring, get under the opponent's skin, make them make mistakes, like taking dumb penalties and things like that. Evander Kane also had some choice words for Michael Bunting after the game. He says he likes to dive and embellish. You want to get that out of the game, but they prevent guys from the consequences of those actions. Fighting is a great deterrent for those types of players and actions. It just prevents guys from having to answer the bell. Like he's a perfect example of that. So basically, Evander Kane saying Michael Bunting not willing to fight. He's just looking for the refs to protect him because he wants to dive and embellish, as Evander Kane points out, and say, well, if he's not willing to fight, he's doing his job perfectly, but those things are going to continue to happen. Diving and embellishing is going to continue to happen unless, and he thinks that it's kind of up to the players to kind of root those things out of the game by having those guys answer the bell. Michael Bunting doesn't need to answer the bell. I didn't think he was really diving and embellishing that much. People thought at first that the play where Darnell Nurse got him the high stick, they thought, oh, it was a follow through. But you saw the second time he hit him a second time with his stick. Like that's not embellishing. That's not embellishing. That's getting hit with the stick and drawing a penalty. So he did get one embellishing penalty in this game. Does he try to sell calls sometimes? Absolutely. But he also is trying to sell calls because refs aren't exactly giving him the favor of calls either. So that's just something that I found quite interesting. But it also just proves that Michael Bunting does get on the opponent's skin. And, maybe Evander Kane should just worry about making sure his team wins the game and not what Michael Bunting is doing on the ice. So, look, I thought it was a great game. I thought it was a spirited affair. I thought both teams brought a great entertainment to that game. I know it wasn't a masterclass of defense at times, but very entertaining nonetheless. So I'm gonna now get you set up for Monday's Sabres Leafs game. Just some news from practice, some things to keep an eye on, and more, especially about the goaltending. That's a big thing going on with this team. So I'll talk about that more on the other side. But let me first talk to you about another one of today's show sponsors, and that is Built Bar. Looking for a delicious treat, but don't want all the fat and calories, and you got to try a Built Bar. We just got through the holiday season. I know my goal is to eat a lot healthier this year. If you're like me and you want to eat healthier, but don't want to compromise on taste, then you just got to go and try a Built Bar. With Built, it's actually healthy and tasty. They're so delicious, you won't think they're good for you. Perfect for those who want to continue with their New Year's resolutions. What makes Built Bar so good is that they're covered in 100% real chocolate, and they come with unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter, brownie, coconut. I like the cookies and cream one. That's a pretty solid flavor, if I do say so myself. I'm not really sure how they do it because Built is able to maintain amazing macros, only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. Not many bars, especially protein bars out there, can claim that, and while maintaining a great taste. And you can go and get Built bars over at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. Head over to Walmart to the pharmacy section, grab a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate coconut puffs. Or if you're close to a Sam's Club, run and grab a 13-bar box of hit flavors like brownie batter and churro. You can thank me later, everyone. Those of you that still like to buy them online, like myself, you can go to build.com, use the promo code locked on 15 to get 15% off your order. That is promo code locked on 15 to get 15% off your order at built.com. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. It's your team every day. David Morassutti here. And the Leafs are back on the ice Monday night against the Buffalo Sabres, who at one point I thought the Sabres were in this playoff race trying to, make things interesting for themselves. They didn't really go out and make the big moves at the deadline that I thought they would make to try to give themselves the best chance. I think right now the Sabres might not. It's tough. I don't think they're. Initially, I thought if they made a couple moves, like go get a goaltender and improve on their offense a little bit, or even add a veteran defenseman, it would have made their chances of making the playoffs that much better. But unfortunately, that has not been the case for this Sabres team. They have dropped 4 games in a row coming into Monday's game against the Leafs. They are 7 points out of a playoff spot. And obviously, the Islanders have a lot of games in hand on those who are trying to catch them in the wild card spot. So Sabres, they're still going to try to battle against these games against the Leafs. We know a lot of these rival teams do not want to lose against the Leafs. It's a very big game for anybody who pretty much anyone in the Atlantic Division. They always play the Leafs tough, so I don't expect it to be anything different there. Um, I will be at this game. I will be sitting in the Ford zone or the Ford luxury box. I think it's called the Ford fan deck, is what it's actually called. So I will be at the game there. And we got some notes from practice here from Sheldon Keefe. One of them saying, Keefe says Matt Murray will start in goal, says both goalies are going to play down the stretch. But he also added that Ilya Samsonov isn't quite 100%. There's a bit of a load management at play here. So very interesting. I did think Ilya Samsonov was going to be in net for this one. So Matt Murray will continue to get the start. Now, I wanted to bring this up because this was mentioned in the Discord. It was brought up. I saw it on Twitter a few times. Matt Murray did not have the best game against the Oilers. And what I mean by that was you look at the goals he allowed, very pedestrian goals to give up. You know what? The Matthias Ekholm goal, it was a nice shot. It was a hard shot. He didn't really play it well, but at the same time, it was a decent shot. I gave him a little bit of leeway on that one. Although the first shot of the game, first goal for the Oilers, a little bit of a tough look there. The Evander Kane goal in the wraparound, just not quick enough to get around there. The McDavid goal, again, I thought, went through the wicket. I didn't think it was a great shot. Maybe he just got deceived by McDavid's speed. I don't know. And then the fourth goal on the power play, again, a goal I'd like to see him make the save because he did get across. I thought he was going to save it, and he just didn't get his foot on the post properly there. Not the greatest goals to give up. On the other hand, too, though, he made some big saves in this game. Some saves, especially in the third period, where the Oilers were trying to really push and for the tying goal. I thought he came up big with some big saves. Let's also not forget this was Matt Murray's just second game back since being brought back off LTIR and hadn't played since January. So he plays the last Saturday against Vancouver. The Leafs were god awful in that game. I thought he was pretty good in that game, all things considered. He gave the Leafs a chance at times. And then he hadn't played for another week. That's tough. He's not. I want to see Matt Murray establish a bit of a rhythm here before I really entertain anybody saying that They can't trust Matt Murray in the playoffs. Well, of course, he hasn't played that much. And I know the injuries are always going to be a concern with him. I get that. I'm not saying that I'm ready to anoint Matt Murray in any way. I'm just saying it was a little premature for people to call for Matt Murray to be pulled. I saw some people say, "Oh, pull Matt Murray." That's not happening. You have to let Matt Murray get himself back on track. So let's see how he plays against the Sabres. And then eventually the Leafs are gonna have some back to backs coming up. They're gonna have the Colorado Avalanche after the Sabres on Wednesday, and then Hurricanes and Senators Friday and Saturday. And then they got another back to back the week later between Carolina and Nashville. So there's going to be lots of opportunities for Samsonov to play. Let's see if hopefully whatever he had just gives him a game and he's okay and he can come back, and maybe you give him the game against Colorado. This is a good test here for both goaltenders because they're going to get teams right now that are in the playoffs or hunting for a playoff spot, and that's where you're going to get a true measure of what these goaltenders can do. So again, you know what? I'm giving Matt Murray a little bit of leeway here just to get himself back on track. Of course, I know the injuries. I know the injury concerns. I'm not going to say that Matt Murray, I didn't lose all faith in Matt Murray just because he was injured. Injuries happen. I get it. He's had his injury history. I get that as well. But you need Matt Murray to be good as well. You're going to need both goaltenders down the stretch here. So I'm not one to just complain about Matt Murray. I know I just think it's a little unfair at times. He got them the win. That against the Oilers. That was the important thing. Okay. Did he look great? No. But it was only his second game back from injuries. Give him some time to get back into the groove a little bit here. We know Matt Murray has had some good stretches. We know he's had some poor stretches, and we know he's had no stretches where because he hasn't played. Let's give him some time to get himself reacclimated into this lineup. And I think the Leafs, I've liked their play the last two games. I liked how they played against the Devils after that shaky first period. I liked how they played from the second period on against the Oilers. I like what they're building here. They got to keep working on it. Now, Luke Shen did have his wife did have the baby. I don't think Sheldon Keefe. I didn't see. Sheldon Keefe wasn't committal on whether or not Shen would be in the lineup for the game against Buffalo. So I think there's expectation that he'll move. Things will move in the next couple of days. Um, I know that at practice on Sunday, I'm gonna actually pull up the tweet here from Jonas Siegel. Sheldon Keefe went with some different defensive pairings. I know that he kind of changed things around a little bit against the Oilers too. So Jonas Siegel, the Leafs are changing things up on D at practice. Riley, Brody, McCabe, Hall, Giordano, Liljegren, Gustafson, Timmins. So an interesting that he moved McCabe away from Brody and Riley. I guess Sheldon Keefe just wants to see if he can get Morgan Riley playing better. Playing with TJ Brody, someone he's comfortable playing with. Maybe that's the case. Um, I'm wondering where Luke Shen fits into all this when he comes back. Let me know what you think. Where would you put Luke Shen if he's getting back into the lineup? Is he taking Justin Hall's spot with Jake McCabe? Is Timothy Liljegren coming out of the lineup? Is Shen going to play with Giordano? Or if Shen is coming back, do they have him and Riley play together? The Leafs have a lot of options here, and I wonder if the Leafs are going to continue to go with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. Alex Steves was recalled as well, so he might get in against the Sabres as well. A lot of things that we'll have to figure out. Obviously, this podcast will come out before the Leafs Monday morning skate, so that's when things will be confirmed. And then we will be back with another episode on Tuesday where we'll break down the Leafs game. Because I'm going to be at the game, the podcast will probably be coming out later Tuesday. Probably record Tuesday morning, have that come out a little later. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll have my buddy Frank back on, and we'll be breaking all that down. I do have some other guests coming in this week. I've confirmed a few other guests, so we're gonna have a lot of fun this week on the podcast. And depending on if I have time, just be on the lookout. I might post a mailbag video as well to call for mailbag questions. So just keep your eye out open for that. That will do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcast platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at @D_Morassutti and follow the show at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode Tuesday where we'll break down the Leafs game against the Sabres. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.